This is the most miserable creator in history, who has posted over 50 videos, with only one view and one comment. One must cater to the fans, and based on the information in the comment, Lucas went to the scene of a competition. Yes, Lucas couldn't do anything, except for picking locks, which he was incredibly skilled at. While other children were still playing ball, he had already started tinkering with the safe. He didn't really care about this small competition, although it was his first time unlocking in front of everyone, so he couldn't help but feel a little anxious. However, giving others a minute wouldn't hurt. In the first round, the fastest 4 lock openers were selected from the 8 contestants. The long-haired person was the first to unlock, while Lucas, the assassin of locks, just managed to secure the 4th position, successfully advancing to the next round. The second round continued, and the safe had now become a 2-tier lock safe. With the adaptation from the first round, Lucas wasn't as worried, but the long-haired individual still finished first, although Lucas's speed wasn't far behind. Next, it turned into the final battle. The MC announced that due to the excessive difficulty, if the two couldn't open the safe within 3 minutes, it would be a tie. The timer started, and the long-haired person immediately took action, even pulling out a sound device. After a while, he raised his hand and placed it on the safe surface. Lucas had completely adapted to the competition, so he didn't rush to act. At this moment, he had to pretend to be cool. With only 25 seconds left, Lucas's hand began to move. His hand moved swiftly, breaking the first code, and he didn't stop there but opened the second and third as well, only pausing when there was one final wire left. Lucas gently opened the safe. As he received applause, another woman appeared within his sight. That person was the female lead from the movie Wendeleye. The only comment was also left by Wendeleye. Wendeleye's purpose was singular, to recruit Lucas into her team. Initially hesitant, upon hearing Wendeleye's words about challenging the world's top 4 high-security safes, Lucas agreed without hesitation. He also wanted to see if he could effortlessly open the high-security safes himself. With Lucas's inclusion, Wendeleye's team swiftly took action. Their current target was a safe with over 4 billion code combinations, merely the simplest part of the legendary 4-layered bank vault. When they began their operation, Karina took control of the bank's security system. Lucas entered the restroom of the first bank, followed by Wendeleye's performance. Just as she was about to enter the door, she effortlessly snatched the guard's key and, using work as an excuse, entered the room housing the bank's safes along with the bank staff. Once the bank staff left, it was Karina's turn to take the stage. While Karina detained the bank employees, Wendeleye assisted Lucas, using the guard's key to unlock the elevator's main lock, taking Lucas to the basement vault. Witnessing the legendary vault with his own eyes, Lucas was extremely excited. The 3 locks of the vault had hidden keys, and between each lock were 4 hidden mechanisms. A single mistake in any of them would cause the vault to completely lock. After resolving the first knob, Lucas didn't stop but swiftly managed all 3, opening the safe with one hand. At that moment, Lucas felt like he was soaring. He could hardly believe he had succeeded. Retreating was even simpler. With the team's assistance, they retraced their steps. Lucas sat in the car, exhilarated, while the Wendeleye team showed little interest in this daredevil. Just as they were preparing to act on the second safe, International Police Officer Mike quickly convened a meeting. When his teammates informed him that the world was currently experiencing a zombie outbreak, leaving them no time to manage the Wendeleye crew, Mike wasn't too concerned. Even if the world was collapsing, he was determined to live or die with Wendeleye's group. Especially with the man who had shot him in the butt, this grudge had to be settled. The night before their second operation, Lucas sought out Wendeleye to discuss, unaware of the imminent danger this action would bring upon him. Their current objective was the heavily guarded code of the safe within the bank. Once again, the genius hacker Karina took the first move, although she couldn't fully control the bank system. Each time she accessed the opponent's system, she could still gain control for 16 seconds. Within these 16 seconds, it was enough for the team to safely infiltrate the bank. At this point, Lucas seemed to understand Karina's strength. He pretended to place a finger on the door, and the vault storage room door opened directly, which was even more impressive than his previous safe cracking skills. On the other hand, Mike had been active since early morning, assembling a tactical team and snipers in disguise around the bank, yet half the day had passed with nothing out of the ordinary. Mike firmly believed that Wendeleye's team was inside the bank. He led his tactical team straight into the bank. However, when he reached the basement, his expression suddenly turned puzzled. He had mistakenly found the wrong bank. Meanwhile, Lucas had encountered the second legendary safe, locking his finger into it, initiating his own performance. The bank's security guards were quite formidable, observing everything on the cameras. Lucas used his finger to open the door to the safe storage area and immediately triggered the silent alarm system. Meanwhile, the burly brother knew it was time for him to take the stage. He put on a mask, without much ado, and as he raised his hand, he began fighting. Within a minute, he had subdued all the guards. With him attracting all the firepower outside, no one came to intercept Lucas and Wendeleye in the basement. However, even so, Lucas encountered a problem. The large lock of the safe triggered the anti-theft mechanism. Lucas still had one last chance. If he failed again, this operation would conclude with failure. The situation outside was becoming increasingly urgent. Mike urgently led a large contingent of troops to the scene. Fortunately, luck was on Lucas's side, and he succeeded in opening the safe. However, this time the retreat would not be as smooth as before. As the burly man was retreating, he got into a fight with a security guard, and unfortunately, his arm took a bullet. The bearded man picked him up, and Wendelai and Lucas chased after the car. However, as Lucas climbed into the car, the burly man made a decision that no one could have anticipated. This man, who was just a second ago his comrade in arms willing to live and die together, suddenly turned and pushed him out of the car. With no other choice, he had to risk his life and flee. Lucas pedaled the bike relentlessly, with the police in hot pursuit. Perhaps it was divine intervention, as Lucas stumbled upon a cargo train. What was even more incredible was that a person with no strength like him could manage to hang onto the train. As he regained his senses, he couldn't believe how strong he had become. In the truck, Gwen and the burly man argued loudly. She couldn't stand this man. Suddenly overwhelmed by jealousy, she abandoned her teammates, and Karina sided with Gwen, causing the small group to split into two factions. Lucas, feeling heartbroken, returned home only to find Karina and Gwen waiting in the room. After a brief discussion, they focused their attention on the third safe. The final goal would be the fourth safe, the Twilight of Chu Than. With his previous experience, Mike was even more confident this time and had already identified the location of safe number 3. He also overheard Gwen's plan to act at 5 in the morning, so as soon as the time approached, Mike set off immediately. After meeting with the person in charge, Mike asked if their safe might be in danger. Danger? I know, they replied. Upon receiving related notifications, their safe had already been moved elsewhere, which infuriated Mike. Indeed, Gwen had already transported the safe, but Lucas was prepared. He had to act inside the truck, breaking the code of the legendary third safe. However, Mike wasn't left empty-handed. The burly man suddenly appeared, exposing their group's location, and Karina was immediately caught. Lucas's operation this time was smooth, and he managed to crack the code of the third safe based on his luck. In front of a mountain wall, Gwen and Lucas witnessed the miracle together. However, as they prepared to leave, the burly man and the bearded man appeared behind them. Motivated by hatred, the burly man aimed his gun at Lucas, frightening him immensely. Fortunately, the gun of the other man was quickly disarmed by Gwen. At this moment, Lucas suddenly exploded. Remembering that the gun was not usable, he still managed to overcome the situation. Under Gwen's threat, the two burly men were forced into the transport vehicle. Mike, who arrived later, didn't hesitate to attack the burly man who had previously shot him in the butt. Mike had always held a grudge, and eventually, both Lucas and Gwen couldn't escape. Mike intercepted them on a changing train. Gwen proposed a deal. Either both sides were injured or Lucas would leave, and she would surrender. Ultimately, Mike was compelled to choose the latter option. Before leaving, Gwen made an appointment with Lucas to wait for her outside, and once outside, they would search for Chu Than's twilight together. Some time passed, and the zombie outbreak became increasingly severe. While still waiting for Gwen, Lucas was approached by a bear-like man. He took out a structural map. This was indeed the twilight of Chu Than. Alright, that's the end of part 1 of the movie. Stay tuned for the next part. We will try to update the films as soon as possible. Thank you all.